I'm Mariel, and that's San. O, San, say
I'm
hello.
San. Hi!
Gagawin namin, ito para kay Mars kasi masaya kami. Gagawin namin yung ginawa namin dun sa video sa stories. Ready? Ganyan.
Ganun. First
Nakita niyo
time
ba
ko
yung,
yung
oo, ako din. Nakakatawa yung sa stories. Oo, wala lang kami, yun lang. Gusto lang namin ng fun. Okay. So, ito na seryoso talaga to. Prepared kami. So, we're going to talk about, again, picture books, how you can use it in your um, homeschool o kaya in your home lang talaga, even if you're not homeschooling. And also, kasi ngayon, syempre, we're Charlotte Mason homeschoolers, and we find maraming tao din yung nag-follow sa CM, and may certain confusion based on the questions that we received, di ba, San?
Yeah.
And we also opened this for more questions. So yung unang question, hindi namin to sasagutin ng sabay-sabay, pero ito, we just decided na to answer this first question para lang medyo tayo, friends. Okay. So, sabi, what made you start homeschooling? So very short,
Oh,
2,000, go. What
may
made you
questions pa yun. Akala ko parang intro lang.
Hindi, question ko yun sa'yo. Nasasagutin mo.
Alam ko, okay, what made me, okay. So, ever since my daughter was young naman, parang my husband and I decided na, wala ka ba ba yan? Parang we want her to grow up very much like the way we grew up. Kasi di ba nga, like ko sinasabi, yung time natin, tayo nag-school at age 2, right? Parang we went to school, maaga na yung 4 years old usually 5 or 6 years old. So, and we had such, parang memorable childhood kami ng husband. Ang dami-dami naming memories of our childhood. And we wanted our daughter to experience the same thing. Parang carefree, na hindi masyadong pressure kasi may mga nakikita kami at that time, mga 2 years old who were at school, tapos by age 4, parang sinasabi nila na stress na daw sila sa school. Kasi the kids mismo sinasabi nila. So, parang, so we wanted a gentle childhood, I guess, and a memorable childhood for her, and free from stress muna. And we wanted to enjoy her also. So yun. So, nag-decide muna kami na sa house lang. And then yun nga, when we started doing, and when I started telling Marielle what we were doing at home, sabi niya sa akin, at that time, we were already homeschooling with, before 5 in a row, Marielle. Right? Hindi sabi niya, yun homeschooling yung ginagawa mo. Ganyan siya. So, ganun ba? Okay. So that opened the doors. And I researched more about it, and of course, Marielle was there, and we met other friends like sina Tina, ganyan. We're also homeschooling. So yun yung nag-start. So preschool. Sabi ko, preschool lang. And then yun, ngayon, 1 year at a time. Mag-grade 6 na. Yan.
Yan. Ako, very similar. Ganun din. Parang I realized early on that we didn't want to send our dalawa pa lang yung kids namin nun. So I have 3 now, 13, 10, and 5. So during that time, sabi namin, sige, muna, parang kahit late pa. Kasi nakaka-pressure, di ba, mga mommy, yung tinatanong ka, kailan siya magsa-school? Saan siya papasok? So ako, naghanap ako ng hinanap ng preschool here in QC. And then, parang, hindi talaga, parang mabigat sa loob ko. Kasi parang, ginagawa ko naman to sa bahay. Bakit? Parang, gusto ko pa siya with me. And then, research ako. I stumbled upon this article about, parang, si David Elkind. Anyway, it was about homeschooling. Tapos parang ako, uy, ano to? And that time, wala pa akong kilala na nag-homeschool. Nung time na when my daughter was around 2. So parang, hindi ko alam na may homeschoolers here. Okay? Parang nalaman ko na lang eventually mga a year or so. Pero I decided based on lang what I saw on the internet. Yan. And then when I discovered yung before 5 in a row, sabi ko sa husband ko, ito yung gawin natin kasi parang gentle, it's fun, it's, parang from the start talaga. I didn't want something na parang puro textbook or workbook. So, yon. Sana nasagot yung tanong na yon. What made you start homeschooling? So, like San, sabi ko din sa husband ko, Preschool lang yan. And then, eventually, yan na. High school na yung anak ko. Di ba? Okay, so, yun ang intro natin. So, we will talk about the importance of picture books. Okay.
Kasi,
So,
Mariel, background lang din. We've been using picture books talaga ever since we started homeschooling. Both our kids, diba? I was si Trini at the time. Din. So, kaya very something dear to our hearts, itong picture books and reading aloud. Because it's also, aside from homeschooling, Mariel and I are really book lovers. So, it's a common, ano namin yan, ever since working pa lang kami together before we were married.
IT.
Ganyan. Yung bond. Yes, in our past lives.
Yes. Pero dati, alam nyo, ang binabasa namin ni San, true crime. Yan ang favorite namin. Nag-uusapan na binabasa, true crime. So anyway, so picture books. Ito na. May mga common, ito na si San. San, ano ang importance ng picture books? Tell us.
So this is also what I'm saying kasi in our, diba, in our Racing Readers workshop. So, marami, of course, maraming benefits reading aloud, picture books in particular. Some of which are, well, ang most important talaga for me is making memories and yung bond with our children when they cuddle up, diba? And when we read aloud picture books to them. So over the years, ang dami-dami na namin nabasa ng picture books. And, when something comes up, parang, oh, do you remember? This is what we read about again. Oh, it's like Madeline. It's like, it's like Amber in the Mountain. So parang yan yung building memories talaga and the bond that you form when reading, sharing picture books together. I think yun talaga one of the most important benefit of, or the importance of books to me, picture books.
Yeah. So, yun yung common siguro na maririnig natin about the importance of picture books. But there are two things that we want to tell you about picture books. So, yung isa, yung about picture books, di ba? May picture. May picture, may text, may pictures. Okay. So, yung isa, sabi ni Sarah Mackenzie, if you're familiar with the Read Aloud Revival, sabi niya, there's nothing in a novel that can give your child that a picture book can't. So, ang sinasabi niya, even yung parang iniisip natin na very beautiful na novels, chapter books, etc. Yung benefits nun, mabibigay din yun ng picture books. That's a short, what do you call that? Summary of it. Okay. And what I like about picture books specifically, especially ngayon may 5, lahat ng anak ko dumaan sa picture books talaga. And even now, binabasa pa rin even ng eldest who's now 13. So, illustrations kasi, di ba nagdadagdag sila ng details, ng detalye dun sa story. Parang hindi enough lang na yung words. Pero kasi, pag nakita ng bata na may iba pang details dun sa picture, parang makikita nila, uy, ito pa pala ito, mako-connect nila. And they will be able to form like their own vision ba yun, na kompleto from the text and the picture in the picture book. Okay. And yun, essentially gives a complete picture, especially for young children who have not seen much of the world, especially ngayong pandemic. Tama? Parang hindi nila marami, like yung mga 1-year-old last year na 2 years old ngayon and exploring na nasa bahay lang and wala pang magawa. Di ba, hindi pa nakapunta sa beach, siguro, wala silang idea, but you have a book about the beach na may picture, hindi lang sinabing beach or starfish, pero may actual picture which gives it more details. Hindi ba parang it gives a better, a more complete picture. Okay. And then,
that reminds me of study. Sige, go. Sige,
tapos na ako.
Sorry. So yeah, it reminds me of a study done on children. And yung effect ng picture books, reading aloud picture books to them. So there was actually a study by Dr. John Hutton, and skinan nila with MRI yung brains sa mga kids while reading aloud. So while reading aloud picture books to them, and nakita nila, so reading aloud picture books, listening to audiobooks, and watching TV adaptation, movie or TV adaptation of a text. And nakita nila through the MRI how picture books physically kasi talagang affect our children's brains. So, apparently, meron daw, sabi lang nila to kasi hindi ako scientist. But the study said that our brains have different networks, so including yung imagination, yung visual, and yung auditory networks natin. And they saw in that study that when picture books were read to the children, mas balanced and mas connected yung mga networks na yun in the children's brain. So when they scanned the brains of the children while watching TV, yung TV adaptation or movie adaptation, parang nag-suffer, very heightened yung visual, pero nag-suffer yung other networks. Mainly because, I guess, mas focus talaga yung what they're seeing, right? What they're seeing on screen. And then, when we did that, for those who were listening to audiobooks, mas improved yung connections, but nag-suffer naman din yung part ng brain that focuses on imagination. But when they read picture books to the children, as in sobrang balanced lahat, visual, auditory, imagination, especially for those na yun nga yung you were mentioning, Mariel, walang prior knowledge to a particular topic. Through the pictures in the books, they get an idea, diba? Better picture as to what the topic is about. So, mas na-enhance yung three networks na yan and mas connected. And of course, mas cool yung learning, diba? Yung experience when the networks are all connected.
Yeah. Actually, parang a long time ago in dun sa times that we've given yung talks about raising readers and preschool homeschool, I think we all also encountered before similar research, or if not the same research, yung differences about reading without pictures and reading picture books na kasama yung words and may picture na which enhances the reading experience. And actually also I saw a post from ni Paula, Mama the Explorer, about the Enchanted Hour. So yung book na yun, I read it also after she shared it. Yung book na yun, The Enchanted Hour, it tells about that research that San just told us about. Okay, so if you can look it up, good read din siya, easy read, and very interesting. If you still need convincing about the power of picture books. Okay.
Not yet convinced. Meron naman talagang benefits academically for those who are concerned talaga about academics. So reading aloud has been known to be the #1 factor in reading success of children. So building the foundations of pre-reading skills, yung simple thing like reading from left to right, di ba? They get that when you read aloud picture books to them from when they're very young. And also yung habit of reading. And we all know that lifelong readers are lifelong learners. Diba? I really believe that.
Oh,
and
naman.
So, diba? So lahat yun, scaffolded from or parang built from reading aloud picture books to our children.
Yeah. And also,
Mars.
Tsaka nung bata pa tayo. Like, di ba, parang yung mga books ko nung bata ako, most of them are still with me. Tapos naalala ko pa, yung iba, lalo na yung mga may pictures, naalala ko pa. And lifelong readers, lifelong learners, wala na tayong ginawa kundi mag-aral. Yun na nga yung gusto natin gawin eh. Kaya tayo nag-homeschool because we want to learn. Okay.
And that's true also.
So, tama. Okay. So, yun yung importance ng picture book. Sinong na-convince? Well, we hope that you can...
Serious na tayo kasi may studies.
Yeah. Sabi ni Mars. Okay. It's... Okay, so yun yung part natin about the importance of picture books. And we hope that you'll think about it. And yun, marami kaming picture books sa thelearningbasket.com/shop. Anyway,
If you want to, I know a lot of parents need help with choosing picture books, how to read aloud, diba? Yung mga ganyan. So we have Raising Readers. It's available at the shop. Watch anytime.
yeah. Yung online, it's an online class that we recorded about raising readers. And then, okay, ito yung isa naming usual question na nakukuha, especially when we started yung Charlotte Mason homeschooling. So, are picture books living books? Okay. Sige nga, I want to see, baka meron lang, alam mo yun, gusto ko lang makita sa comments. What do you think? Yes or no? Are picture books living books? Makakuha lang ako ng 3 sagot. I will continue. Sinong sasagot? Yes or no? Are picture books living books? So, sige, while waiting for answers, so living books, yun yung usual term na ginagamit dun sa Charlotte Mason circles because we don't use textbooks or workbooks other than siguro sa math. And yung lahat ng lesson, science, etc., history, or araling panlipunan, we use what is called living books. So meron akong mahabang blog post about living books. Ano ba yung living books that you can also read sa thelearningbasket.com. And essentially for us, for me especially, yung living books, it's well-written books. Yung baka kailangan lang natin, just to recap siguro, na it's well-written books na written by not necessarily experts, but those who are passionate about it. Tama, San?
Yes.
And books that really captivate the reader's attention and the imagination. So wala nang sumasagot.
Mali sumagot. So, in other words, yung living books are not just books that offer dry facts, diba? So, it engages you, it gives you ideas. Meron, sabi ni Tina, not all. Tapos meron, sorry, hindi ko masyado kasi makita yung mga name kasi wala yung mga
yes and no. Sabi ni, sorry, hindi ko alam, there, Altania, yes and no. Tina said, depends sa picture book.
Depends. Tapos meron sabi, not.
And then, ayan. Okay. Currently, depends on the content. Oh, 3 na yun. So, we can continue. Okay. So, our picture books, living books. So, sometimes kasi, yung sa ngayon, especially for preschoolers at saka kindergarten and even grade 1, we've encountered parents who told us na hindi gusto ng mga kids yung binabasa nilang books, even CM, what they chose. Pero again, meron kaming blog post about choosing living books for your homeschool, or actually even just reading for fun. And kasi nga, kahit anong libro yan, not all books are created equal. And if you just follow book list, as I mentioned in the blog post, it's still hit and miss. Parang pwedeng hindi talaga mag-work. Like kasi yung mga bata, parang sometimes hindi pa sila ready or they're not at a certain level, but you can still keep trying because they will still learn. Okay, yun. Even if they find a book difficult. Pero kasi ibang usapan, like may bata na ayaw na niya talaga, umiiyak na siya or umaalis na siya kapag nakita niya na yung book or nag-start na yung book because the book is very hard to understand sometimes, di ba? But when your child is struggling, we suggest, even for kinder, grade 1, ganyan, na to try picture books talaga because, okay, ito na yung sagot namin if picture books are living books. So, again, yes and no, because not all books are created equal. Okay?
Yes. So I guess ang step really, Marielle, is to know ano yung good picture books, right? Or to choose good picture books.
Yes. So, it depends on the book. Like what many of you said dun sa responses dyan. Many yun? 3 lang ba yun? Anyway. So, again, yung picture books, if titingnan natin kung ano yung definition ng living books, right, kanina na well-written, passionate yung person na nagsulat. Like, for example, favorite ko yung Little History of the World for history. Kasi, it was written in 1 month, if I remember right. It was written in a month, and it was really called from the knowledge of the writer. He was asked to write it, and then, sinulat niya kasi marami siyang libro dyan, tapos nabasa siya, and he did it in a month. And it's very enjoyable. For me, yun, that's the history book that I prefer also.
Diba?
World
Parang
history.
parang he claimed talaga that he wasn't a historian.
Yeah.
So talaga he wrote it with his grandchildren in mind. Kaya di ba yung
Pero bata pa siya noon. Hindi ba bata pa siya noon?
Hindi, or grandchildren or children. Pero parang hindi.
For kids, for children. Yeah. Yeah. And then it's written with great skill. So hindi siya yung very dry na, sorry, naghahanap ako ng sample eh. Hindi siya yung very dry na book na fiction nga or something, pero hindi maganda yung sentence construction, yung paragraph, labo-labo. Hindi ganon. Okay? And then, it's engaging, it's interesting. So the answer is, so it's the same with picture books. Okay, so a lot of the picture books, Cacho, what history book is that? Little History of the World. We usually carry it in the shop. I don't know if we have it right now, but we usually have it.
In our other
and then, so kapag ka picture books, you have picture history books, for example, about Columbus, na picture book, and locally, First Around the World. Alam niyo yung First Around the World by Tahanan? A long time ago, hindi pa siya, out of print na siya, we went to the office and said, please reprint this. And then we were so happy, within a year or two, after our request, they reprinted it. Yung story ni Enrique, okay, First Around the World by Tahanan.
The first Filipino,
the first, it's captivating. And yung sa picture book, kailangan nating tandaan yung quality of the illustrations. Because, as I mentioned earlier, the pictures add to the story itself. Okay? May details. So, what should you look for? So, mga well-known illustrators and Caldecott winners. And kahit minsan hindi naman winners kasi minsan may politics din siguro yung mga pagpili ng mga ganyan. So you have to look kasi makikita mo naman kung ano yung maganda. So usually, marami dyan mga picture books niya, naka-watercolor, yung different kinds of art din. May mga picture books na parang etching, nakalagay din minsan sa book kung what kind of materials were used. So, yun. In terms of picture books, so yung living books sila if they, yung lahat ng sinabi natin kanina about living books, and remember, may blog post nga kami about it if you want to remember, and also, yung illustrations themselves, yung quality of the illustrations. So, ito yung nakagilap ko dito. Wala kami nito sa shop, but this is one of my daughter's favorite. Another celebrated dancing bear. Tingnan mo naman. Oh. Right? And then, ito, we always love looking at this because it's a samovar. It's used for heating water for the tea. Ganyan. So marami kang mapupulot. And then, for example, here we studied about the domes, the onion domes of and then my daughter actually, may 5-year-old, yung isa niyang ginawa, nag-cut out kami ng similar. Yun lang, parang arts and crafts if you want lang. Pero it's not necessary. Okay. So, San?
Yung illustrations, I want to add lang din. Kasi parang yun nga pag interesting yung illustrations also, parang jumping points din nga siya as you share, di ba? Parang ang dami-dami mo rin makukuha from it. Just by looking at one picture, right? Like yung mga illustrations ni Joe Mike Tejido. Diba? Interesting also because meron siyang mga picture books that he painted on his medium, niya is really banig eh. Yun yung banig art niya, di ba?
Yeah.
So some of the pictures that he illustrated, ganun yung illustration. So very interesting, di ba? Parang okay din to try it out with your kids. So yan. So parang important din talaga yung illustrations that go with with the book.
With the book. Yeah. It's not, hindi lang siya, ano ba to, puro picture. Hindi tayo ganon. We revel in the pictures. Hindi yung ano ba to? Okay.
The picture is good. If napag-isipan din talaga yung illustrations, right? Remember, recently merong maganda sanang poem Mariel na picture book, right? Poetry book, but we said, parang hindi okay kasi mga coronavirus yung illustrations, diba?
So that's why we also don't carry a lot of titles in the shop because we choose, minsan palpak, siguro yung choices namin, but we try really to sift through the numerous books available para, yun nga, pagka hindi pasado dun yung illustrations sa amin, parang, wag na lang, ganyan. Okay. So, yun, did we answer, do you have questions about that last thing that we talked about, if picture books are living books? Ay, San, can you tell us about the different curricula? If yun lang. About
that. So I guess the fact that marami talagang literature-based curricula, no? That parang use picture books is proof na parang you can really glean a lot of ideas from picture books. So, kunyari, so we have 5 in a row, we have before 5 in a row, which Marel and I used when our children were younger. Of course, si Charlotte Mason, Montessori uses a lot of, Mars, di ba Montessori also uses a lot of picture books. Alam ko kasi si kayo, Kara. There's also another book yan, si Sunlight. So, and maraming books, maraming books ginagamit, like David Macaulay's books across different curricula ginagamit. Biographies.
Yeah, like John, nasa AO yun, Ambleside Online. And then sa Mater Amabilis, ano ba? Yung Hauling books.
Hauling books. So, American Geography, pero interesting din because favorite ko actually si Pago. Merong mga super Americana. But I enjoyed Pago and Paddle to the Sea.
Ako Seabird yung gusto ko. Actually. Okay.
So, yeah.
Questions ba? Before we proceed to how to use picture books in your homeschool and in your home. Diba? May outline para hindi ako tawa ng tawa. Yun yung sabi ko kay Marcel. Tsaka kay San, para hindi ako tatawa ng tatawa.
Basta yun naman tumawa.
Okay, questions about, sige, pwede namang ihabol. We will answer later if you have questions about yun, what was discussed. So, na-discuss na natin importance of picture books and if picture books are living books. So, now, we will talk about how to use picture books in your homeschool or kung hindi ka nag-homeschool, pero nasa bahay naman ngayon kids. So, kahit pumupunta na sa school yung mga bata, how to use picture books. Okay. So, si Trina of DIY, Corporate Mom, she said, as someone unfamiliar, I'll start with this as someone unfamiliar with CM or with Charlotte Mason, do you have to have an activity for every book? Okay, so the answer is no. Especially Charlotte Mason because, okay, so I will differentiate. So yung picture books, you can use it across different curricula or even if you don't have a curriculum. Tama, Tina? Even if you don't have a curriculum, you can use picture books. So yung isa, yung very favorite namin before, nung bata pa yung mga anak namin, was Before 5 in a Row, or Before 5 in a Row, and 5 in a Row. Okay. So, dun sa 5 in a row, tsaka Before 5 in a Row, the idea behind it was, if you're reading a book, and then you read it every day, and then you have a topic to discuss, or may activity ka per day, pero hindi rin actually activity parang more on reading it every day, and talking about whatever topic that you find. Minsan, ikaw, as the mom, you can certainly plan for, ito maganda to, gusto kong i-bring up tong topic na to about friendship. Diba? Like sa Madeline, for example, the other girls were concerned when Madeline had yung appendicitis niya, right? So parang, I want to talk about friendship. Pero, sa kabila naman, sa Charlotte Mason, if you read this book for your to your kindergartner or preschooler, you don't have to do that. Kung ano lang yung pwedeng itanong ng bata, tsaka mo siya pag-uusapan. You can answer the question, parang gano'n. So, yun yung main difference. Parang kapag kayong unit study, kasi si 5 in a row and before 5 in a row, unit study, so medyo the teacher, the mom, plans ano ba yung pag-uusapan natin. But sa Charlotte Mason, the idea is the child actually makes a relationship with the books na siya yung magsasabi sa'yo kung ano yung important sa kanya by asking you questions. Pero kung gusto mong turuan pa rin yung anak mo, you know, I don't see anything wrong with it na parang, ay, hindi ko to sasabihin sa kanya kasi hindi niya tinanong. Hindi naman ganon. Right? Because it's really all about learning. Okay?
Ito lang yun recently, diba, sa atin. A friend of ours asked us kasi, so parang what do you think about it? Kasi number one, repetition, right? You read 5 days in a row versus si Charlotte Mason, she promotes yung habit of attention that the child has to be able to narrate and get what he can get in just one reading. And we answered that email by saying, well, Moriel said that children, very young children, lalo na, thrive in repetition. Ako, ang sabi ko naman din, we are two very different, yun yung differences, different curricula rin, di ba? They are, Charlotte Mason in before 5 in a row, as you said, our unit studies, are two different methods kasi, di ba? So, hindi siya comparing apples to apples. They are two different methods, and one isn't necessarily better than the other. Right? They're both, we've enjoyed both very much. Ang common lang sa kanila is they both use books, picture books, living books versus textbooks. But yun nga, sabi ko, hindi naman siya, it's really a matter of preference. Depende sa family niyo, what works for the family, what works for your child. So, yun yung I guess, yun yung deciding factor. Diba? But one isn't necessarily better than the other. We enjoyed 5 in a row and before 5 in a row when our children were very young. But now that they are growing up, parang nakikita din namin ngayon yung value ng Charlotte Mason education sa kanila, for them and for us.
And actually, because yun din, nung nag-start kami, because my eldest, parang I felt that she was outgrowing yung 5 in a row books. Actually, kasi, kung ano-ano na yung parang ang dami na, hindi ako parang naulit na namin yung books talaga kasi she's very fast. And then I was looking for more challenging material for her. And then sakto we met Gina, that was 2016 or something. Basta even before this, before Living Learning. And then tinuruan niya kami. She told us about it. Yun na. And parang I think also the yung before 5 in a row and 5 in a row are really wonderful. Number one, parang preparatory thing for CM if you're interested in Charlotte Mason because yun na yung books na yun, nandun na yun. As in, talagang maa-awaken yung love of learning with these picture books. Ito, one of our favorites. Ito actually yung husband ni Gina, si Reiner. I was reading to my daughter one time in a coffee shop, sa coffee shop kami. And then sabi niya, oy, my mom read that to me. Ito, nakikita niya. Yung Story About Pink. And because it's a classic, yun, 2017. Yan, it's a classic. So yung, ang ganda lang. Sorry time out. Ayan. Okay, and also, for example, how else can you use, so again, how can you use picture books? So you can use it for unit studies, for Charlotte Mason. Ako, yung plan ko, my 5-year-old is incoming grade 1. Pero I think that grade 1, 6 years old, parang very young for grade 1. So I plan to really include a lot of 5 in a row books pa din, but hindi na yung puro activities like sa 5 in a row, but more on CM na. But we would be using a lot of these picture books. And especially, for example, geography. So, si CM, maraming, di ba, ganyan, geography, Philippine geography, world, yan. So, for example, China, naalala ko pa ng mga to, Paris, Russia, Story of Ferdinand, Spain. Okay, Simmeret on the High Wire, Paris, mga ganyan. So, you can definitely use it for yan, sa CM, or kahit na hindi, as Tina Rodriguez said, unschoolers sila, so they use a lot of picture books and make it work for you, essentially, make it work for you. Okay?
Yeah.
And San, what other ways pa can we use picture book?
Books, ano
May,
lang, yun, bonding, di ba? Minsan, yun, yung recent blog post ko, di ba? When all else fails, lagi ako, do you want to read a book? Want to read it out? Ganyan. To diffuse whatever emotions, ganyan. And then, go along books. Favorite ko, my favorite, ano talaga, ngayon that we're doing Charlotte Mason, my favorite use for picture books is going, as go along books. Or, yung following rabbit trails. So whenever something piques the interest of my daughter from the books that we read, I pick from our books, from our library, mga similar topics. For example, she mentioned one time that she was interested in, nalagay daw niya sa Book of Centuries niya yung poems across centuries in the different civilizations, etc. So, tama-tama, I remember we had this book about Philippine architecture. So, binigay ko sa kanya. And then, yung recent na purchase ko sa Learning Basket, City, di ba? By David Macaulay. It has a beautiful picture of a house of a Roman, typical house of a Roman during the Roman time. So, yeah, go along books, and then following rabbit trails, and then strewing. So, when my daughter was younger, she loved being read to, but it was a struggle to make her read. So, hindi instant sa kanya yung actually reading by herself. So, what I did was, I just, as in literal toss, nagtatapon ako ng libro kahit saan meron sa bahay namin. So, I left books all over our house na parang pag bored siya, she just pick it up and parang try to browse and read by herself. Yun, and then, liturgical living, di ba, Tina? Special occasion books, mga happenings, what you are expecting sa family,
yeah.
Christmas, Easter, yeah.
Yeah, tama. Liturgical living. So we have, awan ko ba ang kalat na gamit ko yun? Clown of God pag Christmas, nasaan na ba siya? Hindi ko alam. Somewhere. Okay, basta yun. Yeah, so that's why we also, so even if, kunwari, naka-break kayo, di ba ikaw, San? Ito si San,
Yeah.
even summer breaks, excited siyang mag-5 in a row, even if her daughter is already 11 years old. So, di ba, binabalikan nila yung 5 in a row na picture books kasi it's fun, it's parang, and you really get to learn and talk about different things as your child becomes older. Okay. Let's read comments. Beautiful 1926. Most of the kids enjoy the books, lalo pag maraming picture. Mas eager sila makinig and mas marami silang questions like, what is this? Bakit may ganyan? May ganun. Para saan? Then later on, they draw, tapos magkukwento sila, gagawa ng sariling story. Yeah, that's right. And it really inspires them. Lalo na pag na-expose sila to different types of drawings, mga ganyan. So may sources sila of inspiration. Ito, favorite ko si Tommy De Paula. Ayan. Pascual and the Kitchen Angels. Sorry, ito lang nakahata ko dito. It's there. Yon. Okay. Questions? So yun, ayan, nag-enjoy kami because you're answering. Sabi ni Paige Turner, Mom, we do before 5 in a row and super helpful yung blogs even if it was written years ago. Yes, from blogs from PLB. Yes, actually may isang nag-message sa amin from the States pa. Parang ang sabi niya, I can't believe you wrote this 10 years ago. Ano? Yan. Sabi ni Tina, even unschoolers use picture books and non-homeschooling families should really invest in quality picture books too. Yes, kasi lalo na kunwari when your child is enrolled in school, pang-relax nila yung mga picture books. And especially if you're concerned about your child not really interested in reading kasi parang may tendency yung mga bata na sa school, parang very heavy yung work nila na parang ayaw na nilang magbasa ng anything else. You can start with picture books, even big kids. Kasi may mga, yan, like yung City, ano ba yung meron? Basta yung kay David Macaulay. May mga gano'n, may mga pangmatatanda na picture books, right? Or older kids at least.
Sa nating point, Mariel, di ba, for sharing about picture books. Kasi sometimes, we get too hung up, yung parents tayo, we get too hung up on the academic books of our children, whether they're living, whether they're textbook. Parang feeling, ang concept natin, they should be getting something, learning something academic from all these picture books. So, focus tayo on reference books, on activity books, diba? When in fact, you don't realize that even if a picture book is beautifully written, well written, ang dami talaga nilang nakukuha from it. And aside from that, it really relaxes them and it makes them parang not against books masyado. Antagonist. Yan,
Yes.
and books.
Yan. Okay. And so before we proceed, we received some questions, a few questions other than yung mga na-mention earlier. So do you have questions or other comments? We will try to answer later so we can proceed. Para 1 hour lang yung live natin. Kasi mag 1 hour na pala. Okay. So, here's one question for you, San. What to do when you're what from our Love for Learning na IG account? What to do when your child interrupts you with so many questions? Anong sagot mo dyan?
Ano sagot ko dyan? So, minsan, if I feel, pag mas maikli ko lang, masasagot ko lang quickly yung question niya or parang related to what has been read, ganyan. I will answer. But, otherwise, pwede kong sabihin, sometimes sabihin ko, okay, let's see, let's try to find out. Or minsan sabihin ko, okay, hold that question, we will answer it after we read the book. Parang yan. So, again, balancing act siya, di ba, Mariel? Parang you have to gauge, parang, does the question have to be answered right now? Will the book answer the question eventually? Or parang pwede bang i-hold off until after you read the story to them? Kasi mahaba masyado yung answer or meron ka ibang book that will answer that question, mga ganyan. Yeah. Ako, that's my
or alam mo na nga na it will eventually be answered. Kasi sometimes, diba, kids are impatient, they want the answer right now, pero nasa next sentence na naman pala yung sagot. Yeah.
Minsan, pag hindi ko alam yung sagot, sasabihin ko, let's try to find out, para kunyari.
Saka, depends also on what you're doing. Kasi for example, if you're using a picture book or any book actually, tas nagle-lesson kayo, so, for example, Charlotte Mason, well, you should know the answer to that, right? Kasi, yun, you should know kapag sa CM. Okay. And then, yes, I can see Michelle Tatel and Push IG. Hindi ko alam. Basta hello, Push. We will answer. Also, if you're reading lang, if you're parang cuddling, reading, so what's this? Parang okay lang, parang yun yung makulit ha, ganyan. Yung parang makulit na session, yung reading session. You're just having fun, in short. Na parang, it's fine. Pero yun nga, it's different if you set this book and you're reading a certain book as a lesson book, right? Okay. Ito, San, question. How to make your child, especially a toddler, listen through a particular book. So for example, nagbasa ka siya story about things. So this is quite long, pero kaya nga maganda rin siya kasi even for grade 1 or actually na-assign to ng mga schools din eh. We get a lot of questions also na parang meron ba kayo nito because binibigyan kami ng book list from mga elementary schools, mga private schools. Yan. So, ayun, San. So, how do you make your child, especially a toddler, listen through?
Okay, number 1, choose the right books, diba? You cannot expect a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old to sit through the story of Pink, for example. Kasi sinabi ni Mariel, mahaba siya eh. So, so toddlers are not built to sit through long books. Diba? Alam natin yun eh. So, given that we know the short attention span of toddlers, pipili tayo ng books na tama lang sa attention span nila. Right? So, usually nursery rhymes, when you say toddlers, that's like 1 to 3 years old, right? So, usually nursery rhymes, mga songs, mga books about animals na very, very, very short lang. Very simple yung plot, di ba? Mga board books po usually ganyan. So, kunyari, rhyming, lots of rhymes na paulit-ulit, yan yung mga gusto nila. Kasi when they will sit down, if they know na meron silang part, for example, yung going on a bear hunt, diba? Merong part doon na not necessarily the same words, pero same yung pattern nung text. So they will expect, like, after several readings, babasahin na nila. I mean, they will recite it on their own. So they will sit through it. Diba? So yun, I think number one, choose age-appropriate books. Number one. Number two, yun, yung mga topic that will interest them. Very young children like to sing, to dance, to move. So, nursery rhymes, books that encourage movement, short, repeating texts, yun. Yun yung I-remember ko from way back when.
And so in short, yun din ang expectation natin sa kids. Yung, as you mentioned, parang kung hindi, okay, you can just stop. And then, wala. Yeah. Ang important, you're there. Na when your child is ready to be read to, nandun ka with a good book in hand.
Pero I know, Mariela, it's important also to emphasize not to be discouraged. Parang baka meron kasi pang parents, hindi naman siya interested. So parang they'll just stop reading aloud to their children. But we must remember that we're building the foundation, di ba? And when you're building a foundation, hindi pwedeng one time, big time. You have to parang work at it little by little, step by step, right? So, pakonti-konti, if kaya nila 1 page today, okay na yun. Tomorrow, 2 pages, 3 pages, diba? So, parang it's really building the foundation. But we have to start somewhere. Yeah. So, don't be discouraged pag hindi sila nakakaupo ng mga.
Okay. Meron tayong question dito. From Michelle Tatal, have you tried using Sonlight curriculum? Ako, it's no. It's one of the things that I looked at before, pero I decided on before 5 in a row for my preschooler nung yung eldest. Kasi I think I read na yung Sonlight, meron siyang consumable parts. So parang ako, ayoko nun. Diba, San? Meron siyang mga books, pero may consumable part na, yun, ayoko. Gusto ko yung magagamit lagi. Ikaw, San, ikaw may anong ka-write your niece?
Yes, my niece actually is enrolled in a brick and mortar school, pero yung ginagamit nila, Sonlight. Sa new curriculum nila, Sonlight. Yeah, so books pa rin. Kaya minamano ko yung mga ibang books nila. Yun si Sonlight. Okay naman. Happy naman yung niece. Tsaka nakikita ko yung books, ganda nung books nila. Ganda. Very similar to 5 in a row. And may mga overlaps also with 5 in a row and Charlotte Mesa.
Yeah. Because ito, I think, for example, si 5 in a row I read before. It was actually inspired by Charlotte Mason, yung choice of books na in short, living books. O yan na, pangatlong sagot doon. Living books, yung picture books na pinili nila, right? These classic and really and award-winning and really wonderful picture books that you can use for different yun nga, geography, whatever. Next, Push.
Sabi ko natutuwa ako kasi they're revamping 5 in a row, adding to it, yes. Removing yung mga out-of-print books. So sobrang exciting.
Yeah.
Ano yun? Sorry, Marian.
In your experience, si Push, I-G-I-D-A-Y. Sabi niya, sorry daw sa name niya. Sabi ni Push, in your experience, do kids learn to read just by reading aloud? Or do I have to support with formal teaching of phonics and sight words? Experience ako, yes. Pero not all kids are the same. So, yung eldest ko, she learned to read ng 3 years old na natuto na lang. Actually, pati yung 5-year-old ngayon, she's early reader din. Na parang konting turo, as in konting turo lang. Yun. Kasi nakakahiya lang. Parang, don't be pressured, pero kasi like itong girls ko, yung 13 and 5, so yun nga, early readers sila. Ano nga yung binabasa nila? As in nobela, like itong si 5-year-old ngayon, ang favorite niya, Boxcar Children. Pati yung sequel niya sa Kindle ko na lang niya binabasa. yung Wizard of Oz, that's her favorite. Charlotte's Web. Pero yung son ko, ito I'm sharing because iba-iba talaga yung bata. So my son, so he's 10 now, he actually just learned to read after yung talagang tinuruan ko, as in I sat down and really taught him how to read, yung phonics, etc. using reading lesson. Siguro mga 6 na siya nang nagbasa siya talaga, or 7 pa nga. And then, siguro when he was just 9, nung nag-start siya to be interested in the mga nobela, chapter books, yung mga thick. Ngayon, parang, pero wala namang difference, so okay lang yun. So yun yung, depends on your child. Makikita mo, pero in short, if your child doesn't seem to be learning how to read ng mabilis, it's okay, relax lang. You can, yan, San explained that dun sa racing readers, what you can do also and why, mga ganyan. Because very important din actually yung mindset ng parents. Hindi tayo dapat magalit. Sa math pwedeng magalit, pero yung reading wag. Loko lang.
Tsaka maraming studies, right, na parang it doesn't really matter when they start reading eh. Kasi eventually, they will be able to catch up with their peers if that's a concern. Pero yeah, not all children. Yung daughter ko, hindi siya just by reading aloud. I had to sit down. And hindi lang yun, parang she's hindi siya visual eh. Hindi siya visual na person. Auditory, mas auditory and kinesthetic yung readings niya. So, lahat kinakanta namin, lahat ng sight words, kakantahin namin, ganyan. So, it's a matter of finding out also how your children learn best. Daming reading programs. So, find yun. Kailangan lang hanapin ano yung mag-work for you.
Okay. And I think that's it. Okay. If do you have questions? Parang siguro, okay, thanks for answering. Favorite math curriculum? We're using Singapore math now.
Singapore math.
Mathstore.biz kay Milona. Yeah. So, yung mga Singapore math books. Okay. Questions, comments, before we say goodbye, kasi 3 o'clock na.
Yeah, so, prayer.
So, if you just arrived here and want to listen to the whole session, ano ba tawag mo dito? Whole thing, whole conversation.
Chikahan session.
Yeah, we will try to make this available in our website. We will try because I'm not sure if I'll be able to save the video, pero we will see. Kung hindi yan abutan, sorry. Tapos hindi namin na-save, sorry. Yun, okay, wala nang question. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Ayan, may kausap na tayo. Nakita ko ulit si San. Ayan.
Thank you. Guys.
Yeah. Kahit tayong dalawa lang. Tapos nakikita natin yung mga profile pictures.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks everyone.
Everyone. Ganyan. So the crown. The crown. Di ba ganyan yung mga royal? Thank you. Okay, bye. I will press X. Tama? And I will try to skip. Thank you, everyone. I can see your messages. Hope this is not the last. Sige, pag ginanahan kami ulit ni San, usually, kung ano lang maisip namin on that day.
Give us topics.
Yeah, PM us or DM us.
Makeup, the crown, Bridgerton, joke lang.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Totoo na, X na. Bye. And hello. Am I live? Okay. Hello, Ambrosio Adventures. Hi. Hello. This is Marielle. While we're waiting for San, can you tell me in the comments saan kayo? Where are you Where are you now? Yan, while we're waiting for San. Where are you? Hello? Wait. Okay. Si Anna, Veronica, naalala ko. Okay. Hello, very familiar names, everyone here. Okay. Okay, so, ayan na si San. Hello. So, ang request lang, while we're waiting pa for more people to join, siguro in a minute or two, mag-start na tayo. Ayan, QC. Si Anna Veronica, si Kachingay. Okay, kayong iba, saan kayo? Can you tell us? Nasa QC ba kayo? Kami